Welcome to the Tuesday Review. I'm Nathan.
I'm James.
And I'm Callum.
And tonight we're talking about Stranger Things Season 3.
Yeah, we're only 2 weeks late.
Better late than never.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's not your fault.
It's not all your fault.
Yeah. Like with all things on this show, we're always 2 weeks behind.
Well, it's Spider-Man's fault.
We yeah, it is Spider-Man. But like we say we bring you the hot takes. They're still hot.
This is warm.
They're just
A little warm.
They're still hot. They're just late. We keep them.
They've
been in the oven.
Yeah.
They sit in the oven at a good temperature, 160 degrees, but we're a week late.
Yeah. It takes us a while to open it up and let the baking smell out, you know. But yeah.
And this episode smells like the 80s.
Yeah, and the 80s is so hot right now.
Always
hot. But at this point, everyone who's going to watch it has watched it. So if you're listening, we're going to do spoilers.
Well, although it is a miracle Callum got around to it.
Yeah, I mean, you'd be surprised. There are some people I know who are interested but haven't seen it. So if you're listening to this episode, pause it, go watch season 3 because we got a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
Spoilers. Spoiler warnings all over the joint for this one.
Okay, very quick no-spoiler section. It's good, go watch it. Major spoiler warning.
It's probably the best season, or at least as good as season 1.
Yeah, I think so.
I don't remember season 1. I mean, I do, but I want to rewatch it.
Yeah.
I'd actually enjoy another rewatching, so I'm thinking about that, but I would also put it up there with season 1.
Definitely.
Potentially better, depending on how thick my rose-tinted glasses are.
Yeah, true.
I think that's fair.
Yeah.
At this stage,
It's definitely better than season 2.
Much better.
Yeah. And season 2 was still good.
Yeah.
But it had problems, which they resolved.
But yeah.
I think at this point, I rate it a little bit higher than season 1.
Yeah.
I feel like it was tighter.
Yeah, that's something I want to talk about. How I love season 1, and people act like it's perfect. It's not. There are problems with it. One of the problems is sometimes they'll write themselves into a corner and they don't really know how to get out of it. So they're just like, and then this happens, and there's no real Hopper's magical One Punch Man fist. Like they'll be like, okay, so he's in this situation here, but we can't get him out. So he's able to knock everyone out with one punch. Like it's just a kind of
everyone just has to have a glass jaw.
Yeah, there's a lot of coincidences and stuff, and I think season 2 has a bit of that. All shows and movies have this.
Yeah, of course.
So it's not. But I think season 3 had less of this. Like it was just tighter.
Yeah, definitely. I agree.
Overall, I think it doubles. I mean, it doubles down on the 80s nostalgia.
In a good way?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like the 80s mall. You know what I mean? Like that's
so good. One of the reasons this season's so good is because Starcourt Mall is a great
it's a great
central location for your.
And there's no CG crap there.
Did
you know about the
decommissioned mall? Yeah.
Yeah, they found an actual decommissioned mall, semi-abandoned mall.
Yeah.
Some half of it was still trading.
Operating, yeah.
But the Duffers it's cheaper to actually go and either sort of buy half the mall or rent it for a period of time, and they made the shops.
Yeah.
All the shop fronts, television magic, all the shop fronts, they converted with real shops and real products.
Yeah. Apparently, all the shops were fully
furnished and fully stocked.
Now, so even though you don't even go into most of them.
Only Netflix.
Yeah.
Right. Can you imagine ABC getting ABC to do this? No, it
would look cheap.
It'd be like a sitcom. It'd be like each room. It'd be just on a soundstage, revolving soundstage or whatever.
Yeah. So every single shop in Starcourt Mall was legit.
Yeah.
Legit enough.
So cool.
Yeah. It's just so cool.
So the one thing, because I suppose we have a lot to talk about, so I'll hurry up my non-spoiler section.
Well, no, I think we're already in spoiler.
We're in spoiler section. The non-spoiler section was just go see it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you haven't seen it already and you want to see it, I mean, this is your fault if you keep listening.
So I really enjoyed the character development, the character arcs of this season.
Yeah.
I thought they were handled better.
Yeah.
I particularly liked Steve's character progression.
Oh, yeah, he's so good.
Right. Scoops ahoy.
Ahoy, ladies.
But I kind of felt bad for Steve because he's no longer the chick magnet he used to be. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I think he's past his prime.
I think what's interesting, though, is that I think throughout the season, he moves past that.
Yeah.
Because the whole, first 2 episodes, he keeps trying to hit on people who come to Scoops Ahoy. But I think by the end of it,
He's not. Yeah.
He's like a bit like less creepy. You know, a bit less like.
Still has great hair though.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Best hair in the business.
The hair
Steve,
character. It's not me. It's the hat that hides my best feature.
I also think Dustin is a standout in this season as well.
Dustin and Steve. The
dynamic.
The best part of season 2 was that team up.
Yeah.
And I love that intro they have when Dustin gets back from camp and when he goes to Starcourt Mall and he sees Steve. They have that fake lightsaber battle.
And
Robin's like, yeah.
How many children are you friends with?
Yeah, and she's a really good character.
She's really good. One of the things I like about season 3 is that the new characters they introduce are all really strong and are well implemented into the story. One of the problems I have with season 2, even though I really love Mad Max, because Elle in season 2 was like separated from the rest of the gang, the introduction of Max felt like they were just trying to replace Elle. Like, oh, we need a new Elle because we can't have Elle come back, so we'll just have another girl come in and she was great, but it felt, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Whereas season 3, like Robin and some of the other new characters, they feel more like better integrated. That makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, they do.
And like better developed. And now that we're past season 2 and season 3, characters like Max and Billy have already been set up, so they don't have to worry about doing that again. And so they're just like, here's...
So how many new characters were there in this? So there was Robin,
I mean... Can we...
Not including bad guys. I'm including central cast.
It depends. Like, he's not really a bad guy, but my favourite character was Alexei.
He's good.
Oh, he's not a bad guy. But he was also in one... Wasn't he in one of the earlier seasons?
No. The Russian scientist.
The Russian...
Oh, I thought you were talking about the other
Slurpees.
guy.
Oh, no, you're thinking of Murray.
Yeah, no.
Oh, Murray's in season 2. Yeah. He's great. Breck Elman's hilarious. No, but...
Alexei's not a bad guy.
Yeah, no. He just wants his cherry Slurpee.
Yeah, he's just a cool dude.
Yeah.
He's the best.
Although I like the Terminator too.
Russian...
Yeah.
Cheap rip-off Russian Terminator.
Yeah, he was good. He's good value. And Carrie Elwes as the mayor.
The mayor.
Oh, man.
Like dream casting for a sleazy mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was so good in this role.
I also liked how Lucas's little sister Erica, who was in the previous seasons, but she gets more to do this time around.
Yeah, they flesh her out.
Yeah, she starts off the same she was in the first 2 seasons where she's just annoying, like an annoying little sister. And then she actually contributes. And I like at the end how
only for gain.
That's true.
She's no communist.
Free
James.
ice cream for life.
She's no communist, okay? She's about America.
America.
You can't spell America without Erica.
That's so true. I love that bit. How good's that bit? I love that.
Dustin pauses.
Yeah.
And he's like, you're processing that. He's like, yeah. That's right.
I love when they get stuck in there's like Russian elevator. It's like, we're stuck in a Russian elevator. It's like, what does Dustin say to Steve? Oh yeah, if you die, I die.
Yeah.
So good. The best bromance ever.
It is. No, back to Starcourt Mall. Like it was just that was like my most impressive sort of thing of the whole season.
Yeah, it really ties the whole series season together,
and how it felt so lived in and so like, and it's good to see like a set built like that again. Like a multi-level set.
Yeah.
I mean, in this studio, we enjoy a good mall.
Oh, yeah. Well...
and we enjoy,
I like a good practical location or set, you know? More than just like, you know, we can only film in one direction, you know?
Yeah, like...
That's why Mallrats is such an enduring piece of cinema.
I think that's what I was getting to. It's like, it's not so much of like a one sort of facade sort of thing. It's like, no, it's like we see this mall from different angles and it's physically built.
Yeah. And it's like the height of like 80s greed is good capitalism.
Yeah, and it felt real, it looked real, and it's just like it was so good, and the theater was cool.
Oh man. Do you think that was CG, the Back to the Future, or were they actually playing a film?
They probably just would have licensed like 10 seconds of footage.
Like how were they playing? Like that's the little things I think of when I'm watching the show. I'm like, were they actually playing Back to the Future? Or
considering how many takes they would have to do, I wouldn't be surprised if they digitally edited it onto the screen afterwards, so they didn't have to keep rewinding it to play it.
That's a good point.
But it's also possible that because we only see the screen a few times, they probably only maybe shot it a few times and shot it with the project and actually projected it. But then when the camera's not showing the screen, they wouldn't have anything on. They just have lights that replicate what the screen's doing. But yeah, I mean that another because 80s and the whole thing about Stranger Things is that like it's very heavy on the 80s nostalgia.
Yeah.
But I think it like that's not all it has going for it. Like the characters are fun and like it's an interesting world they've set up, with the Upside Down and all that. But now it's season 3 and like there's still like it still feels fresh. Yeah, it's like when they show Back to the Future or when they show Day of the Dead, literally like show it on the screen, it's like you get that feeling of like what the kids are feeling.
The palpable excitement.
Yeah.
And this season really did feel fresh. Like it felt completely fresh to me.
Yeah.
Like season 1 and 2 feel like they're almost a piece. Kind of.
Yeah, I think like season 1 was great, but it ended on a maybe slightly sour note, bittersweet perhaps.
Yeah.
But obviously there was more adventures to come. Season 2, when it ended, I wanted to see more, but I wasn't really excited. Yeah. And I feel like they hit a dead end with what they could do with the world and the characters. Season 2 started to feel like they didn't really know what to do with the world or the characters.
I wonder if do you think they had a plan after season 1? Do you think when they pitched it to Netflix,
they had, if I remember correctly, they had like a 4-season general idea?
Yeah. They would have had an outline of generally where they're going. But like after 2, I was kind of like, I don't know if they can keep this up.
After 2, we were worried.
And I remember, I don't know if it was an early episode of the Tuesday Review or an older episode of Man vs. Movies, but I remember we talked about how, after season 2, we're like, maybe they should just do a spin-off.
Yeah.
Maybe they should just set in the 50s or the 60s, do like a UFO Stranger Things kind of thing. Call it Stranger Things, but,
like make it an anthology show.
Yeah. Because we were a bit
hesitant.
But season 3
renews hope.
Yeah, I'm like, now I'm so ready for season 4. I'm like, I can't wait to see what they do, like what they're going to bring in.
After season 2, we were all worried in the studio, like, is it going to get worse? Because there was a notable quality drop.
Yeah.
But season 3, obviously, it just renews hope.
I think the Duffers, I think they're one of the few people in the entertainment industry who can bounce back who can incorporate criticism into their like decision making. You know what I mean? Like,
because they took a year off.
Yeah, so they would have been digesting what people were feeling and thinking.
In this case, it paid off.
Big time.
Essentially, they could have gone back to the drawing board.
In other cases, it didn't pay off.
They could have gone back to the drawing board, reassessed the direction they were going, and kind of you never want to pander to an audience because essentially
it's dangerous.
It's your creative vision, not the audience's creative vision.
Yeah.
But if there was as we said, some of the poorly implemented character arcs.
Yeah.
Some of the quick location changing they did, which didn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah.
With things like that, like things about how you tell the story, not the story itself.
Yeah.
You can work on that over time. You can fix it, and that's what they seem to have done with season 3.
Yeah, I mean that's the beauty of television as well. Is like you get to tell this story over a certain amount of time, because in a movie, if for argument's sake, season 1 was Act 1, season 2 was Act 2, and season 3 was Act 3, it's like. Then when the movie comes out, you'd be like, the middle of that movie was terrible, but the ending was great,
The beginning was good,
Yeah, but because this is a series that will possibly go for 5, 6, 7 seasons, you can be like, season 2 wasn't great, but season 3, season 4 were great, season 5, season 6,
and we're not being nitpicky here, but season 2 is still good to watch. It's still fun.
Oh, it's still a good. Yeah,
So
it's
it's like
still a
when-
good show.
It's still
yeah.
better than most of the stuff.
Yeah, it
So
didn't.
when
yeah.
we say it's not great,
No,
it's still
it just
on
had-
the level
it
of
just had
greatness.
problems.
It's just not as great as
and
everything else.
they started to show the cracks of like, okay, where are they going with this whole upside down Elle has powers thing? Like, it felt like they didn't really know because
No,
like
but it's
the
still.
one.
Don't get us wrong here. It's still good.
Oh yeah, it's still a good show. Like because the one episode where Elle goes off on an adventure.
Yeah,
like was
it's the episode.
It's the one episode that's like different and interesting and new, and she gets to use her powers, and it's also the worst episode.
It's kind of not what I. It's
Yeah.
like the David Lynch Twin Peaks Return of Stranger
episode
Things.
8, but it's
like-
not good at all.
It's well made.
yeah.
I just didn't ask for
Yeah,
it.
no, it's not even that. It's kind of like you.
Episode 8 of the Return was a masterpiece.
Oh, no,
of
I'm not-
Oh
filmmaking.
no, that's yeah.
That's not what I'm
that's a-
talking
yeah,
about. I'm
yeah.
talking about just the direction
Oh,
they went.
Yeah,
we're
no,
talking
no.
about one special episode.
Yeah, no, that's like this is where they're like, okay, here's Elle, she's doing her own thing, she has to learn to come back to the. I'm like, yeah,
That's
this is
not-
great, but
that's
this is
not what I want.
Yeah, and it's
Yeah.
not even not what I want. It's like it was dumb. I was like, what the? Why?
It defeats that episode particularly defeats the point of the show.
Yeah.
The show is about the kids' adventures and Elle,
Well,
who has special abilities in the Upside
that-
Down. And I know they want to bring background
That's-
to her test thing, but this is not the X-Men.
That's one of the problems I think I have with season 2 is that the whole like Spielberg small town ET kind of like
the vibe it goes
the
for.
the adventure, like the gang of kids in their small town fighting evil,
Fighting adolescents.
yeah, fighting alien
Fighting-
monsters,
yeah.
yeah. Like that's like what people like about it. Going away from that, you start to lose that, but staying that, you start to feel stale.
Yeah, that's
So in season 2, I was like a bit worried. Can they keep doing this forever? Because when they tried to do something different, it sucked. Season 3 is like, no, we can still do this.
Yeah.
They're small, like
Yeah.
they're still growing up. They still got like 2 or 3 more years of high school. Like there's still
Yeah.
more stuff going on. And one thing I really like about the end of season 3 is that it sets up so much stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So much more than season 2.
This is an issue I have. Is allegedly it's going for 4 seasons.
Okay.
Well, it's been renewed for a 4th.
Yeah, my assumption is because the kids are getting older every year.
Yeah.
How can they realistically keep going
They got 2
The
or
whole-
3
Yeah, the whole
left in them.
The whole thing of the series is each season takes place a year later.
Yeah.
So it started in 83, went to 84, and now it's in 85, even though there was a 2-year gap. So you can see the kids are much older.
Yeah.
I reckon they got
But
2
it's
or
like-
3 years left in
Yeah,
them. Like,
I mean-
take them through high school.
I mean, we talk about a lot in the show, like you don't want it to get stale, you don't want it to get stretched out. I mean, 5 seasons is always a good length for these kind of shows, 6 or 7 maybe. But I mean, if they can get up to maybe end of the 80s,
Yeah.
like 89, like in New Year's Eve 89.
Yeah.
That would be kind of a cool ending. That's just a dumb idea
Look,
I had.
I mean,
But
I kind of want
that's-
them. I
that's-
kind of want them to.
That's like 4 more seasons, which might be
Yeah.
stretching it out
So-
unnecessarily.
What I want to happen is the story arcs they've set up to be resolved.
Yeah.
And then I want them to have a new batch of Stranger Things subtitle with a new batch of kids. Another couple of seasons, maybe. You know what I mean? Like,
Well,
keep that 80s adventure going.
That's what we were talking about in season 2. We were like, do another. It's still set in the same universe.
Yeah.
The Upside Down still exists.
Maybe a different town.
But there's a different town. There's a different government
Bunch of
organization. There's a different, group of characters. And instead of like just redoing the Demogorgon, maybe there's something else that's,
And you could occasionally have a crossover. Maybe a Hopper will appear.
Well, we all want the Hopper like.
Which one
spin-off.
Hopper
The
solving crime?
Hawaiian shirt Hopper.
Like just with that ridiculous shirt, just Hopper solving crimes.
moustache.
Yeah, like Magnum PI.
and the chain
Hopper.
smoking.
Yeah, like no.
Maybe we mean Murray would be the recurring character.
Yeah, well
He has
he'd
more
be
reason.
like- yeah, exactly. He'd be the sidekick.
But yeah, you know what I mean.
But
like,
yeah, like you don't even have to have supernatural stuff.
yeah, I just want I just want a TV show.
Yeah.
Following these kids in the 80s.
Yeah, well, that's. I remember when the trailer came out for season 3, and I was like, this is just like a fun summer coming of age, like
Yeah, that's what
80s
I
teen
want.
comedy.
That's what I
like
want.
all the supernatural stuff. I'm like, I don't care about that.
Yeah.
That's one of the things I will say about all seasons of Stranger Things. The strengths are the characters, the 80s, the
Yeah.
kind of nostalgia.
It's it.
Yeah, that whole It, Stand By Me, Goonies kind of thing. The Upside Down stuff that's all really interesting and pretty like looks cool and all that, but it's, I think, not as good as the other stuff.
Yeah.
And I think one of the it's not a major problem, at least not as big of a problem as it is in some other movies and TV shows. It's going for this 80s nostalgia thing, this kind of, 80s adventure movie. But when it comes to the creatures, they're all CGI crap.
Yeah,
the Demogorgon never looked good.
Yeah, no.
The Demodogs in season 2
and the Mind Flayer looks
and the
Mind Flayer looks terrible.
And they defend the Demogorgon saying it's a guy in a suit, but then why doesn't it look better?
It's not. If it is, they've CGI'd over it so much that it no longer looks like a guy in a suit.
Originally, it was a guy in a suit.
Okay,
but it just doesn't look good.
Maybe in scenes where it's like, into the darkness, it's a guy in a suit. But when they show it and it's got this stupid CGI flaps that looks like from PS3 game, like it's not bad. Like it's not really badly done. It's a lot better than on most TV shows and movies. But I mean, it's still. It's a problem I have.
Like, we live in 2019, right?
Yeah.
It's like, you don't tell me you have to use CGI.
Yeah.
We have our boy, Guillermo del Toro, right, doing the Lord's work in film.
We always talk about, at this moment in time, the best way to do special effects is like Guillermo del Toro, mostly practical with CGI elements,
augmented in.
Yeah.
Like, don't tell me you have to use CGI because of the Mind Flayer.
Yeah.
Well, maybe you should have a...
I will say, like... one thing I like about this season is how like people disintegrate into like flesh globs and then they join together to make that bigger Mind Flayer kind of thing. Like that looked cool. The CGI is good, but when it comes together and it's screaming, it just looks flat.
I feel like you don't have to design a bad guy that you need to have CG'd. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah,
the 80s had such a broad array of science fiction and fantasy to draw from.
Yeah,
that you don't necessarily need to have a 30-foot CGI monster running amok.
The Demogorgon was good. I feel like the Demogorgon had shades of almost Alien. Kind of.
Yeah,
like the way it's stalked.
One of the reasons the first season is good is the Demogorgon is like a singular villain. It's like the Alien. It's stalking people, killing them, and they have to defeat it at the end. One of the problems I have with the second season is that it's the Demodogs, and there's just a bunch of crappy CGI dog monsters.
The actual bad guy is the Portal.
Yeah, and exactly the actual. I guess the Mind Flayer,
technically,
whatchamacallit will not possesses him, but goes inside him,
kind of infects him.
There's no like good main villain. One of the best things about season 3 and why is it so much better than season 2?
Billy's a bad boy.
Billy is a good villain.
We have two central villains, right?
And you got Russian Terminator.
You have the Red Menace.
Yeah, I mean you got Russians who are the best 80s bad guys.
100%.
Yeah, apart from zombies, Russian zombies would be even better. But like you got Russians, so best 80s bad guys. You got Billy, who's this huge douchebag bully, and then you've got the Mind Flayer, who's this overall evil supernatural presence.
The red blobby CG is such a disappointment. For the Mind Flayer.
When he comes together, it doesn't look great. But I think what is great is that because the Mind Flayer is this threat, and Will is so afraid of him and whatever, and then he inhabits Billy, who's the bully to the gang, Billy the bully, and then he becomes the sort of central physical.
The physical embodiment of like the Mind Flayer threat.
Yeah, and then plus you've got the Russians doing all their stuff as well.
And the Russian Terminator, he was a good villain.
Yeah, so like the villains are good,
I love that. I love when Steve and Dustin are in the court. They're like, well, what does a Russian bad guy look like?
Oh, yeah.
And they're like blonde, carrying a duffel bag.
Evil Russians.
And they see him, and he's like the yoga instructor.
Yeah, that was so good. Jazzercise.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was good.
So we're joined by Callum. Frequent guest of the show. Sometimes guest of the show.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
And
did you smash through the wall?
I just wanted to run the show.
Oh, yeah, obviously. That's your MO.
This is
I thought you were the Kool-Aid guy smashing through the wall.
So you have not seen anything past season 1, correct?
No, I have not. I intend to.
Yeah.
I thoroughly enjoyed season 1.
You're going to get spoiled, but you knew you were going to get spoiled when you came in.
It's still good, man.
It's still good.
And it's still like top tier TV.
Yeah, as I was saying before you got here, I'm like, even by the time you get through season 2 and watch season 3, like you'll enjoy the experience, even though you've heard us.
It also helps knowing that season 2 won't be as good, but season 3 is so much sweeter.
Yeah.
Oh man,
definitely.
By far, in my mind, it's the best season.
Yeah. Yeah, so if you're a bit like worried about season 2, it gets better.
Because I started episode 1 of season 2, and I don't know, I never, I guess, continued with it. Maybe it just didn't capture me as much.
You got to power through it, man.
Yeah, like it's got great bits, especially Steve.
Steve and Dustin.
Yeah, and the Farrah Fawcett hairspray.
Yeah, and but it's a bit wonky.
Season 3 is leagues better.
Yeah,
man.
season 3 is like so much better.
Well, it's good to hear that there's something ahead worthwhile.
Oh boy,
Yeah,
it was a good season.
So good.
So we were just talking about the use of CG to portray monsters in Stranger Things. So you're familiar with the Demogorgon?
Yes, I am.
How did you feel about that, Alan?
It looked alright. I mean
that was easier to make because it was a dude in a suit and then CG laid on top of it. But when as James said, when you open the mouth, it wasn't great.
Yeah, no, it doesn't.
But the central villain in this season is a bit of a mess when we see him in his sort of monster form.
Yeah, like when he's coming together, like when it's a globby thing on the floor, that looks kind of cool.
That looks cool.
Well
I'm talking about when it's like when he's like he's
like
structured together.
Yeah,
and he has the little tendrils.
I do like the. I wish they'd explored more of the almost sort of Stepford wife type playing with it. How like who's the mind flayer infected? Like I would have I would have liked more of like the town and like the sort of paranoia. Who's infected? Who's not?
This is one thing about season 3. One of the good things about Stranger Things in general is that they're only 8 episodes. So it's just like short and sweet. And, we talk a lot of it on this show about cable shows should only be 8, 10, 12 episodes.
Cut the filler.
Yeah. But in some cases, they should be even shorter. And in other cases, even with those 8 episodes, the running times should vary depending on
the need.
Yeah. I think in season 3's case, 8 episodes is good because it feels like a long like 80s summer blockbuster. But I would have liked to seen more of that, like the Mind Flayer zombie army.
Yeah, look,
because there's hints of that storyline almost.
Yeah,
but we never see it.
If I was one of the Duffers, I would have preferred a 10 episode season. Yeah. Because that way, I mean, they do take their time. But you could have explored a couple more areas like those extra two or so hours.
I don't feel the season's rushed.
No.
But it would be cool to explore like
there was meat on them bones.
Yeah.
Like there's a couple of areas that we could have seen more of, like
because the idea of the Mind Flayer infecting Billy and then Billy going out and bringing back more people for him, and then like an army of zombies going out, that's a cool idea.
Exactly.
But you really only see he does it to Heather, and then Heather's
like
miscellaneous
townspeople.
Yeah, and then Heather's family, and then other than that, then there's like
it's like faceless.
In the middle of the season, there's like a reveal of all the zombies already there.
I want to see more of that.
Yeah,
and I'd also like to have seen a bit more of Mike's mum, like their marriage, because like you get hints that it's not very good.
Well, I mean, season 1 deals with that pretty well, and then I don't know if it was really necessary.
Yeah, because Billy was going to sleep with her, but she got cold feet.
Yeah,
and then she thought Billy was going to be upset. But Billy was infected, and he had other things on his mind.
He had other things to worry about.
That's what I like about Billy in this season is I feel like they took his energy and they moved it in a really in a really fun direction.
Yeah,
if fun's not the right word.
You know what I mean.
But he has this
intense,
kind of because for listeners, Billy is now in charge of. He's one of the people in charge of the swimming pool.
Yeah, he's a lifeguard.
Lifeguard. So he has the chiseled abs, whatever, and all the mums sit there and they're like, "Oh, here he comes, ladies," and they fix up their bathing suits. And the goal is they all kind of want to sleep with Billy.
Yeah.
So it's like a kind of cat and mouse things where they'll flirt with him and he'll flirt back.
Yeah, see, this is what like the whole 80s, the whole 80s teen comedy thing. It's like the best part.
Yeah.
The supernatural stuff almost gets in the way.
Yeah.
But like I think. The good thing about Stranger Things is the whole upside down thing and the whole D&D allegories,
Will the Wizard,
analogues. Yeah, like they
Will the Wise.
Yeah.
But he dresses up as a wizard.
He does.
Yeah, that's his get up. But yeah, like that stuff's cool. Like the upside down is a cool idea. Like that's the interesting part that they can explore more. I want them to explore the Upside Down more in season 4.
I don't think they will.
Yeah, because this season they don't really explore it at all. Just that the Russians are working on a portal to open it up.
Yeah.
And that's
and it's
about
also kind
it.
of revealed there's more portals, but they're not all as strong as the portal in Hawkins.
Yeah.
Like the connection to the portals.
And like at the end, you see the Demogorgon in the Russian prison.
Facility.
Yeah. And so they're obviously working on some stuff.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool to see, like, there doesn't have to be excessive amounts of scenes in the Upside Down, but like a Russian research team going in
the suits.
Yeah, like finding something.
Maybe with like an umbilical cord connection.
Yeah,
back, you know,
like and finding something that's not just the Mind Flayer or not just the Demogorgon. Like, what else is there in the Upside Down?
I kind of want it to be almost like Death Stranding.
Yeah, like,
you know what I mean?
I feel like there's more you can explore.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what is the Upside Down? One of the things I thought was interesting, you know, because the Russians are trying to open the Upside Down, and so they infiltrate Hawkins because that's where it's strongest and that's where they can open a portal. I thought it would be like, I thought they might reveal this later, but they never did. I thought the Russians had opened the portal in Russia and used it to invade the US by literally walking their army through the Upside Down.
That'd be cool.
I'm like, logistically, it doesn't make a lot of sense, but would be pretty cool.
Also, logistically, we don't know how time and space work.
That's
in the
true
Upside
too.
Down, right?
Yeah, that's another thing.
They might have their crazy Russian scientists might have a machine which manipulates things in the Upside Down.
So that's what. But then they reveal that it seems like the Russians have infiltrated Starcourt, like just like
by sneaking. They own Starcourt.
Yeah, by like sneaking in. You know,
machinery,
like, you know, like physically sneaking things in the country and buying up land and stuff. But
naughty Russians.
That's another cool thing about Starcourt is not only is the upper mall portion a good place for the setting of the battles and stuff, but the underground, like, secret Russian stuff, that's really good. But like, so that's what I thought they were doing with the Upside Down, and then that didn't happen, and then. Sorry, Alan. Hopper destroys the machine that opens the portal, and it explodes, and he gets caught in the explosion. You don't see him die, but, you know.
Exactly.
That's the implication.
Yeah.
And at the end, then you hear that...
The Russians have an American...
Yeah, the Russian base, they have an American prisoner, but they like leave him, and they take the Russian prisoner down, and the Demogorgon
and
attacks
really,
him.
Speaking of our boy Hopper, I really think that's one of the things that season 3 does so well.
Yeah,
is it delivers on relationships that start or even all the way back into season 1.
3-inch rule.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what I was getting at. I think that the payoffs in this season are huge when it comes to dynamics between the characters.
Yeah,
specifically Hopper's relationship. So the relationship he wants to have between him and Winona Ryder's character, Joyce, and his relationship with Elle.
Yeah,
because if you remember, people might not remember, but he lost his daughter. Previous to season 1.
Yeah,
so he replaces. Elle's like a replacement daughter in season 2.
Yeah.
But that comes to like full circle in a way in season 3.
Yeah. And now what I like about Elle is now she's, what do you call it?
A rebellious...
acclimatized isn't the right word. What's it called when you when you introduce yourself into a new culture and you...
Acclimatizing?
Assimilate.
She's assimilated to like the 80s teen. She uses the slang.
She's been there long enough. She's seen enough TV.
Yeah, she speaks more... Like, she still has that broken English.
Yeah.
But she still speaks... You know, she speaks more in this season. Like, and now, you know, she hangs out more with the gang.
She hangs out with Max.
Yeah, and her and Max... That's a good friendship as well. And they like go the montage in the Starcourt where they like go like have
shopping
fun
and stuff.
Like, I dump your ass.
Yeah,
that's like all that stuff's really good. Yeah, I mean, and that stuff all like ties into all the strong relationships throughout the series.
No, but like I like the fact that now Hopper has a daughter whom, like I think if you were to tell season 1 Hopper that he would have a daughter to get angry at, he would be overjoyed.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
But I think obviously he's coming back. Like I don't think there's anyone in the world who thinks he's dead.
He's probably the favorite character.
Yeah, and especially after this season, it's like they wouldn't be setting him up as this Magnum PI, and then just to have him. But I think this is interesting because if he's quote unquote dead and does come back, is he just going to rejoin the police force? Probably not. Elle is now moved away with Will and his family. So
I reckon
this frees up Hopper to be like a free agent.
Either that
a
or
PI.
Either that or Elle gets her powers back and she sees Hopper, and the whole season is the search for Hopper.
Yeah, that's another theory, is that the American in the prison isn't Hopper.
It's a red herring.
And and that he jumped into the Upside Down as the gate was closing, and so Elle will have to go into the Upside Down and save him, which I think would be a cool thing to do.
It would incorporate more of the Upside Down.
Yeah, but also you don't want to have the whole season be about that, because then Hopper will be kind of absent, like Will was from the first season.
They could do more with Hopper in the Upside Down than Will could. That's because Hopper's a badass.
And that's actually one thing I want to see. Is it if Hopper is a prisoner of the Russians, which also doesn't really make sense that he is, because he was blown up in America. That's why I think that gate thing, where if they went through the Upside Down from Russia to America, and then he somehow got blown back onto the Russian side. But they don't really set that up. That's just my theory. But anyway, it would be cool, because they're obviously doing experiments, and they bring that Russian prisoner down to the Demogorgon to do something with him. So maybe they use Hopper as like an expendable exploration of the Upside Down. Like throw him in there, see what happens, record the results, and something can happen to him. He slowly goes crazy, or he finds something out,
and we can actually learn some more about what the Upside Down is.
Yeah, exactly. And how, I thought they were going to explore, and maybe they'll explore this in later seasons, like how are the Soviets trying to weaponize the Upside Down?
Yeah, that's an interesting question.
That's what I thought
there are people in the show that know more than we do.
Yeah, that's what I thought they were doing with the Upside Down, was they're going to open a portal and they can invade the US or whatever. Or
what is it about the Upside Down that makes it a place that people want to get to?
Are they trying to harness the power of the Mind Flayer by being able to mind control people?
Yeah, exactly.
That would be cool.
Like MK Ultra kind of stuff.
There's so much stuff set up for season 4, season 5, that after season 2, I was kind of like, there's nothing really left they can do.
And I feel like they could give Will more to do in the Upside Down. If he's already been touched by the Upside Down,
Will's an interesting character in this season.
He might have some more, I wouldn't say power, but he might have some more utility in the Upside Down.
What I like about the end of the season is how Elle and Will are now effectively like brother and sister. They've moved with Jonathan and Joyce to another town, and Hopper's gone, and so Will and Elle are probably the two most connected characters to the Upside Down.
Yeah.
And Elle's lost her powers, but she has the physical embodiment of the supernatural power of the series.
Another theory,
and Will has the mental connection.
Another theory, are Elle's powers connected to the Upside Down? Because the portal was closed and she's not near a portal anymore. I
think her powers started to fade before the portal closed, but they might be connected.
If that's the case, in season 2, when she overuses her powers to close the gate, wouldn't her powers get weaker the closer she got to closing the gate? Like, how can you close if your powers are drawn from a gate?
After she closed the gate, she didn't lose her powers. She only lost her powers.
My assumption was that she was just a genetic testing kind of manipulation. And that's how she has superpowers.
What?
Considering there are other people who also underwent testing.
She's the one who opened the gate in the first place.
Oh, well.
So it's possible, however her powers came through experimentation at the lab, that's true. There's some similar elements that are used. One thing that's great, I talk about there are things that are great about Stranger Things, and then there are the other supernatural stuff that's good, but perhaps not as great as it should be. But I think one of the strongest aspects of Stranger Things is Elle's mind psychic powers.
Yeah.
And her, Alan, you might remember if they gave it a name, but her like black room mind palace thing where she can like go into that black void and see things.
Someone else.
Yeah, like she can travel through her mind.
And she has to be blindfolded or be sort of like have like an
in
isolation
the pool.
tank.
Yeah, in the isolation. What do you call it? What is that?
Our boy Joe Rogan.
Sensory deprivation tank.
I really like how they do like makeshift. They did the makeshift version in the first season, but in the third season, her powers have obviously gotten better, and they only have to do like a quick, like either TV static or turn the shower on and blindfold her, and then she can automatically. That's cool. And all those scenes in the Black Void where she's like, okay, we have to find where Billy is because Billy's possessed, and then she like goes
really
there.
well done.
That stuff's really, really cool. And how that's like possibly connected to the Upside Down, I don't know. Yeah, and then now her and Will are like together, like in brother and like living together, like So that's really interesting because they're the two
connected most by the supernatural.
Yeah.
And where do you sit on the side of people claiming that Will is possibly gay?
Oh, okay. So when in the first season,
we should note that this is not. The Duffer Brothers haven't come out and said
no. This is just speculation.
Yeah,
they haven't. Yeah, they haven't said.
There's no
anything,
official
right?
Stranger Things Netflix stance on Will's potential homosexuality.
So after I'm trying to think of the first two seasons.
I don't think it's mentioned in the first couple of seasons.
The first two seasons, there's no.
He's not really a primary character in the first two seasons, anyway.
Exactly, and the first two seasons, there's no. Indication.
I mean, because there was one line in the show that says, just because you don't like girls.
Yeah.
And then at the end, there's also that kind of, I couldn't find another party kind of thing. People have been also saying that, well, you know what I mean? Like, you'll find another group to play D&D with.
Oh, okay.
And he goes, that's impossible. I'm like, that's another one.
That's grasping at straws.
Yeah.
I think Will, like, see, the way I was trying to explain it to Callum was, like, Will's just the odd one out. He's just the weird kid. He just wants to play D&D.
Yeah,
Can you blame
me?
him?
Is that so hard?
Yeah,
that's what we want to do.
Yeah, that's come on.
We just want to be calculating how much a bear's head weighs and if Alan can take it in his bags or not.
What did we decide, Alan?
Did you decide? Did you ever take that bear's head?
Remember the weight of a bear's head and whether you could carry it in your pack?
You could carry it in your pack, but it was heavy.
Okay.
Anyway, I feel like there's no problem with Will being a homosexual character.
Yeah.
But I feel like that wasn't the Duffer's intention. I feel like it was just he's not as socially progressed as others yet.
See, like
because he spent time in the Upside Down. Now he's had a traumatic life so far.
Here's my thing, just from a screenwriting point of view. Mike has a girlfriend, Elle. Lucas has a girlfriend, Max. Now Dustin has a girlfriend, Susie. Never-ending story.
Steve doesn't have a girlfriend.
Steve doesn't have a girlfriend, but
he tries real hard.
But he's now bros with Robin. Like
that's true.
Will's the only one odd one out. Now that's not unusual for him to not have a girlfriend. That doesn't mean he's gay.
No, that
doesn't mean anything.
No.
So when Mike says to him, it's not my fault you don't like girls, like that's just him saying you're a weird kid.
Yeah,
that doesn't mean anything.
That's what I take from it.
But from a screenwriting point of view, you've already got 3 out of 4 friends with girlfriends. So it's more interesting and more diverse just to make one of them gay, to have a boyfriend.
Which could incorporate drama into the next season because in the 80s, homosexuality wasn't as open as it is now.
It's just a way to make a more dramatic story.
What I will say,
because if Will does get a girlfriend, it's like, everyone else has got a girlfriend. It's kind of the same.
If he is gay in season 4, I feel like people should not necessarily go back through earlier seasons to try and nitpick little bits.
People will
say,
definitely do
he
that,
was coded gay since day one.
Yeah,
I'm like, well, no.
No, he's just a weird kid. But also, now...
Not that we're saying.
No, I don't mean that. I mean, like, if he was not written as gay, like, they're just saying...
Yeah, he started off as an oddball, and then he was turned into later into a homosexual.
Exactly. That's what I meant. But also, because at the end of season 3, they reveal that Robin is also gay.
Yeah.
So now they're doing a thing of like it's the 80s, but it's like the progressive 2019
it's the 80s as presented to you by 2019.
It's the exploration of, which is interesting because
we mentioned no swearing, no smoking. It is very much a...
some smoking.
We didn't talk... We'll talk about... Actually, remind me about that. We'll talk about that after.
I think we
talked about that off air.
It's a fairly sterile 80s.
Yeah, no, bring that up later because I'll forget that. But my point was, what was I saying? Robin, so they bring that up.
Yeah.
So, and that's interesting because gay people didn't just pop up in the 21st century. They've been around since the beginning of time.
What?
The same with, like, you know, people of color. They didn't just start having a voice 10 years ago. So, like, going back to other time periods and exploring those things, that's interesting. That's the luxury we have now. So that's not unusual.
But I think we need more from Will at this point. Like, people are jumping on bandwagons here.
Now this is my ultimate point, is so Will might not have been meant to be gay in the first 2 seasons. Now he doesn't have a girlfriend. Everyone else does. Just for dramatic storytelling, just to make it more interesting, more diverse. They might have now are starting to say he might be gay. The added fact that Robin is another gay character, they might be like, okay, this is the direction we're going.
And that wouldn't even be a bad...
I think
that's an interesting direction for them to go in.
But as I think what Nathan might have been trying to say is, I hope that's not Will's one thing. That he's just
you don't
the gay
want him to be
kid.
the token homosexual character.
Tokenism is the worst thing because it's like fake progressiveness.
I agree. That's not what I was going for. What I meant for is, like, as you said before, Will's a bit an oddball.
Yeah.
And I feel like there are other reasons to explain away why he doesn't have a girlfriend yet, other than the fact that he's gay. The fact that he's trapped in the upside down and probably has post-traumatic stress. He's emotionally stunted because of said
That's
time.
why I'm very excited for season 4, because now him and Elle, like, he has his own, like, therapist, if you want to call that. He has someone to talk to about all the weird shit they went through.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can actually get some really good character growth.
Yeah. And also one of the things I liked about season 3 is his role in the series is still smaller than a lot of the other characters.
Yeah, he needs more to do.
Yeah, like, he needs more to do. His role in season 3 is basically he's the gang's Peter Tingle.
He's the back neck toucher.
Yeah, he's the gang's.
He's just like, it's here.
He's the Peter Tingle for the. He's the Will Tingle for the gang. Like, he's like, okay, it's coming. But one thing I like is, like, when the gang, quote unquote, breaks up and he gets really devastated by that because that's his one thing.
Yeah,
like playing D&D and like hanging out with his friends.
He's sad, like Charlie, like Charlie from Peanuts. He's got his boombox and his wizard outfit, and he's just like, I just want to play D&D.
But like, and then he smashes Castle Byers, which was his like fort that his brother.
It's symbolic, James. Symbolic.
Yeah, but I'm like, it like, you know, that kind of death of childhood innocence or whatever the hell you want to call it. I hope that's not him turning his back on D&D and nerdy shit.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Because grown-ass people can like D&D and nerdy shit. Like, just because you're growing up doesn't mean you can't play D&D. So I hope the showrunners aren't slowly going towards... Eventually, they'll go to high school and they'll go to college and they'll grow out of this.
Oh, I mean, D&D was always open. I think it was ages 8 and up.
Yeah, no, but
there's been a time
in a world where superheroes and shows like Stranger Things are extremely popular.
Yeah.
Because people are no longer afraid to say, hey, I like nerdy stuff. Hey, I like
but that wasn't
fiction.
The case in the 80s.
That's what I was going to say.
No, but that's what I'm saying is I hope, because the showrunners are in 2019 and are making a show about the 80s from our current day perspective, I hope they don't make the mistake of being like
pretending like everyone in the 80s loved D&D.
And saying like no, or saying like, and then they grew out of it. Making a pop culture sci-fi adventure show about kids growing out of pop culture sci-fi would be a bad message.
What I would be excited to see is the potential drama between, because the high school in the American 80s was a very specific feeling, right? I want to see them trying to play D&D and the jocks like, what are you doing, butthead? In that very 80s
like
way.
underground secret D&D club.
I want that, but also I'm so excited for season 4. You have no idea. After season 2, I was like, I'm not sure what they can do. After season 3, I'm like, mind blown.
Yeah.
One of the things I like about the end of season 3 is when on the news report about the whole event at Starcourt, there's like a Satanic Panic kind of like.
Oh yeah, that's so 80s. Yeah,
and I'm like, I really hope they do more Satanic Panic stuff,
and they can bring that in with D&D.
And like they're trying to play D&D, and people and like the parents are just like
freaking out.
Like, and Hawkins bans D&D. And
secret D&D clubs.
It's like D&D is summoning the Demogorgon from the upside down.
And that was like a legit thing that happened in the 80s.
Yeah, and like the parents are throwing out like heavy metal, like the kids' the cassette tapes.
No
like,
more rock music.
Yeah, and like
no more Lord of the Rings books.
Yeah, this is why all this like supernatural stuff is happening. Is because this satanic music and games and books and
there's so many places they can go.
Yeah, they'll.
How do you feel, Alan?
Well, I certainly feel that I need to watch the next 2 seasons. Get myself up to scratch.
Yeah, you're kind of in the dark.
No, but legit, I want to see the high school experience in Stranger Things, because the character connections being put through that strain, you know what I mean? Like, let's just say one of the kids, for example, stops being a nerd. Like, let's just say Lucas becomes a jock.
Yeah.
Like, what does that mean for those connections? How is that going to play out in a high school environment?
Yeah.
Are you remembering some kind of high school story there, Callum?
No. In the 80s. I'm talking about from an 80s perspective. Our high school was relatively tame compared to the American 80s experience.
Well, I mean,
on TV.
Movie high school's always
it's more dramatized over the top.
Yeah.
But you know what I'm saying, right? You want to see how the character dynamics work when people start to change.
Yeah. That'll be interesting to see.
I think, and also I like the idea floating around that it's going to be a Christmas themed season, because because they moved out of Hawkins at the end, and Elle made a deal with Mike's parents to come back for Christmas.
Yeah. That's actually, I hope it's that, because
then we can have like a holiday themed season.
Like a homecoming kind of like we haven't seen you yet.
They can drop it 2020, 2021 also, Christmas season.
Yeah. Also, Callum, speaking of what you were saying about like showing more of that 80s high school like dynamic.
And it'd been school then, so we can see more high school.
Elle hasn't started school yet because it's been summer.
Yeah.
I mean, she might have started school off screen and we just didn't see it. But because season 3 takes place during the summer, there's no school.
Yeah.
So the next season would be interesting to see how does Elle cope going to school. Also, if she's in another town with Will.
Also, the problem with having Eggos as a main diet is not like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not explored at all. I want to see like Hopper.
Does she eat them frozen? Like,
yeah,
she doesn't.
Hopper has to sit her down and say, "Look, there is a thing called diabetes."
But like Force Hopper, like a ghost, like
yeah.
She looks in the sky. It's like Mufasa, like Hopper, and his big mustache is like.
Hey, if they're a breakfast item, they might be fortified with your daily vitamins and minerals. It could be alright.
But
that's Dr. Alan Singh talking on the show there, everybody.
Like seeing like how Elle and Will cope as the only 2 new kids at school, and obviously she doesn't have Mike there anymore, and so that'll be interesting. And seeing that kind of in season 2, one of the problems was Elle was separated from the gang, and that kind of it made sense, but it kind of suffered.
Yeah.
Season 3 doesn't have that problem; everyone's together. Season 4, they're separated again, but it's much more interesting. There's much more to explore. I wouldn't even be opposed.
There's also the promise of return.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be opposed to them kind of being in those different places for a longer period of time. But yeah, that promise of homecoming and reuniting with the gang, and
they've changed. They're more grown up. They're different people now.
Dustin lost all the weight. Now he's like a bodybuilder, and Steve.
Dustin's a jock now. Susie moves to town.
That'd be interesting.
Will we see more of Susie?
Well, yeah, and then that's the other thing they can do. They can, Susie's coming down for Christmas, they can have a whole, it's spread out, but then it all comes back in. Yeah. So that's so hype.
So much hype.
We got through a lot, but I think there's still some more things we can talk about.
Probably.
Callum still has to remind me to talk about the
sanitization of the 80s.
But I think we're out of time for the live portion, so we'll sign off now, and we'll go into our podcasted non-live recording. Thank you, Alan, for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
I was going to say we won't see you for the next part of the show, but there's so many people on Matt's show. You might have to come back in here.
Maybe.
So we'll see.
In case. See you next Tuesday.
Test.
I, as an incel, am very upset that they're replacing James Bond with a black woman.
Hey, be careful. I edit the show. I can put that in. No, I won't.
Fake news.
Fake news. Edited. James edits the show.
Yeah,
I never said that.
Dude, I can make you say anything. I can, what do they do on The Simpsons? Sweet, sweet can. Remember when he's okay, so when the babysitter sits in his car and he sits on the candy and she gets up and he goes like sweet, sweet candy and he grabs it and pulls it off her jeans. And she thinks he pinched her butt. And then they show a video of it later and they edited it. So he's like, sweet, sweet can.
You're listening to the Tuesday Review.
Can you leave this in the podcast?
Not the part about insult.
No. Well, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, this is going in.
Yeah, leave the part about insults because it's obviously a joke. Anyway, you're back on the Tuesday Review.
Well, our plan was to sing Never Ending Story, but that didn't
But that was
well.
more entertaining.
But yeah, Never Ending Story is a fucking good movie, and anyone who says it's not is a fucking idiot.
It was technically a children's movie, but
but it's scary as shit.
Hot damn, is it a good fantasy movie? They don't make fantasy movies like that anymore.
You know what's great about it is it's quote unquote a child's fantasy movie.
Yeah, but it was an 80s child's fantasy movie.
So that's one thing. And two, it's about like the death of imagination, which is a more adult, I think.
And it has that great... This is the one, where it has that great, almost 80s cliche where there's like a dude narrating to his grandson. Is that the right
No, that's Princess Bride.
Never mind.
This one has the kid goes to the library and he reads the book.
Oh, okay. So similar. I knew there was some sort of...
He's like transported into the
I knew
world.
there was some sort of modern day...
Does he also
element.
dump off the diving board?
What diving board?
In the Never Ending Story. Isn't there or is that number 2 in which he jumps off the diving board?
I don't remember.
Anyway, that's just my memory association.
Yeah.
At work there.
Yeah, but no, it's a really good... A tree!
And it has... is Falcor?
Yeah.
Oh.
Oh, man.
Speaking of those...
Well, they're bringing Dark Crystal back. They could bring Never Ending
I still have to watch that. The original is on Netflix at the moment for Australians.
Yeah.
Which?
Dark Crystal.
Oh, they put the original, yeah. Yeah. Have you guys ever seen it?
When we were little,
years
I think.
ago. I have to rewatch it.
Yeah, no, I've seen it. Yeah, we'll rewatch it before the
Netflix
series,
one,
and then we'll watch the series, and then we'll talk about it on the show. All right, yeah. So let's get back into Stranger Things. Couple of things. So we have to talk about the sanitization, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Now Netflix is great because you can get away with anything: drugs, swearing, nudity, violence. But they're making Stranger Things to be a bit more appealing to a wider audience.
Understandable.
It's violent. I don't think... Like, I never watch the show and feel like they're shying away from anything.
Yeah, that's right.
But they're definitely not... They're not going in any kind of Game of Thrones level of direction, you know?
It's definitely billed as being a family sort of show.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's like a family show, even with the violence. One thing I'll say about the CGI in that regard is that even though it looks... most of the time it's quote unquote good CGI, and it's not... I wouldn't say it's overused, although it's sometimes used quite a bit, and like we said before, it's sometimes not great. But it's like they're allowed to be more gory because CGI looks fake.
Yeah, I mean we've talked
about this before. I know
when you show real violence, it makes people more uncomfortable. Fantasy violence.
When you show a practical effect violence, you automatically looks more gruesome, you'd get a higher rating.
Now,
when you show the exact same thing in CGI, you can get away with more, it gets a lower rating. But in the modern cinema goer's mind, the CGI looks more realistic, and if they saw the practical effect, they'd say, "Oh, that looks fake."
Is that just a...
So it's a weird...
Is Ray Liotta in Killing Them Softly
Yes.
the only film I've ever walked out of?
Dude,
Now,
you guys have to finish that movie. It's one of my favorite movies of the last 10 years.
This is a great example
It's
of real
fucking
violence.
incredible.
Of real violence versus
That
fake
violence made me uncomfortable.
Yeah, there's a scene in which Ray Liotta gets beaten up, and that made me genuinely uncomfortable.
That's a different example entirely, because that's a
like
case of
physical, real violence.
No, that's a case of...
That's a case of Ray Liotta got fucking hit.
Yeah, no, that's a case of it's an outlier in the world of movie violence, because it's visually not really gory,
But it looks real. You know what I mean?
but the way it's shot and the sound design,
it's like hitting meat.
yeah, it's so brutal.
It made me uncomfortable.
Yeah, you
don't get that with fake violence.
Yeah, but what I'm talking about is actual like squibs and like prosthetic gore effect.
My arm got shot off.
When they're watching Day of the Dead, and if someone gets bit in the arm and there's like that, stringy tendon ripped out. Now, if you do that in practical, automatic R. You do it in CGI,
MA.
you can maybe get away with the PG-13. It'd probably still be R, but probably maybe get away with the PG-13. In the Netflix world, they don't have those kind of ratings, but it definitely looks less gruesome. But people watching think it looks better, because that's what they're conditioned to now with big blockbusters, and they're definitely wrong. And I think it also makes it look, quote unquote, more modern.
Yeah.
Now Stranger Things is an 80s nostalgia show, but it's also a modern show. It looks like a modern show. It's paced like a modern show. It's shot, So I think in our dream scenario, the Demogorgon and all that would all be practical, and that would bring it wholly into the 80s nostalgia territory.
Yeah. I think
that would alienate some people.
You know what? I don't even care if it's a
further.
really obvious blood packet squirting blood.
It looks fucking great, man. Have you guys seen Day of the Dead? Day of the Dead is a fucking good movie. Day of the Dead is
I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure we've seen it.
I saw I saw Night of the Living Dead, then Dawn of the Dead, and I'm like, Dawn of the Dead is the greatest zombie movie of all time. Like, I can see why people love it so much. And then I saw Day of the Dead, and I was like, holy fucking shit! Like, this movie is good.
And they're all by George Romero, right?
Yes.
Yeah, they don't make directors like him anymore.
No. Like, even he went off the rails after, in later movies, like a lot of directors.
As a lot of directors, yeah.
And again, once CGI started happening, his movies were never the same. But that's when horror and sci-fi was good. That's why so many movies
Blade
now...
Runner holds up so well.
Yeah,
frankly.
Exactly. That's why so many movies now are about that 80s nostalgia, because that's when all the movies were good and fun.
That's when the action
and Spielberg
was good.
was at his peak.
They actually had to travel back in time for Back to the Future.
I know, right?
Like today, you just CGI that.
Those Iranian terrorists or whatever they were. Those were real terrorists.
But it was just coincidental filming, right? It's like they just feel like they edited into the script.
They had to hire an old man because he really got cancer from handling the plutonium.
Christopher Lloyd actually got cancer from handling the plutonium.
Well, look, happened in Tarkovsky's film.
Oh no! I was gonna make a really bad joke about Michael J. Fox's Parkinson's. I'm not. I won't.
Well, look, it happened to
you can guess what I was going to say. I won't continue.
Happened to Tarkovsky.
Yeah, but that's actually legit. Like, we're talking fake. Like, that was you're talking legit. Oh shit! You reminded me of something. So, season 1 takes place in 83. Season 2, Stranger Things, takes place in 84.
Chernobyl?
Yes.
Season
4, if it takes place in 86.
Oh, shit. Hopper sabotages a test and blows up Chernobyl.
So, maybe they're going to retcon Chernobyl so that it's
related to the Upside Down.
Yeah, it's like they were actually trying to make something.
We cracked the code.
Duffers, send us a check.
A check.
That's amazing. I
So Chernobyl's a Russian experiment into the Upside Down. It makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
That's a credible fan theory.
Yeah, how cool is that?
Did you just come up with that, or did you read that?
No, I wrote that down. I came up with that after I saw the end of the show.
my
brilliant.
god. Yes,
someone else might have had the same one.
No. But if they don't pursue that idea, that's a mistake.
Yeah, no, definitely. So I think what we were talking about was that even though it's a Netflix show and they can get away with anything, it's still a kind of quote-unquote family show, even though there's like violence and dark elements. They don't really go really deep into any really dark stuff.
Well, yeah, you wouldn't expect them to.
But we were saying like it's more accurate. It would be way more accurate if the kids swore more.
Look, not every second word has to be swear. Just a fuck here, a shit there.
Yeah.
Or that's bullshit, man.
Yeah. They're definitely trying to keep it.
Maybe one of them can get in trouble for smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
I understand it's not PC.
Yeah.
But in the 80s, we're of a generation in which basically some people smoked when we were in high school.
Yeah.
But everyone pretty much knows better. Whether they smoke or not, you know better.
Yeah.
So
and it was, I think,
but in the 80s, they didn't really know better.
Yeah.
You knew.
It would have been more common. Yeah.
But people just
and
didn't care.
more out in the open, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, like, I mean, Stranger Things is, you know, I'm not saying they should introduce that stuff at this point.
No, it's too late now anyway.
It's an interesting thing to talk about how, you know, we talk about It and, you know, Stand By Me and like...
They could be smoking... A great example is they could have been smoking in Elle's room. And Hotbox could be like, "What have I said?"
That would have been,
what I mean?
Yeah, that would have been funny. Yeah,
Max and Elle even doesn't have to be Mike and Elle.
I think we're in also a dangerous balancing act at the moment where everyone at this point knows the evils of smoking, dangers of smoking, and the evils of the tobacco companies. You know, but as someone who's against that kind of stuff, but also wants historical accuracy in the movies and TV shows.
It's cool in the 80s, not cool now.
But I think even a kid has enough reasoning, deductive power, whatever you call it, to realize that the kids in the 80s show are doing the wrong thing.
You can weave it into the story. Hopper can be like, we've talked about this, you know?
Yeah, it's because Hopper smokes like a chimney, and people started complaining about that, and now they should cut it out, and Netflix is like, well, we'll see how that goes.
I mean, have Dustin trying to smoke, and it sets up his asthma, and he's just like, nah, not for me.
They're definitely... Has anyone smoked weed in the show?
They might be too young for that, though. At the moment,
but anyone, even Jonathan, Jonathan has to be a stoner.
Jonathan would have
off screen,
Jonathan all day.
I feel like these are prime,
and Hopper
jokes.
Probably.
Yeah, this is like prime territory for good jokes.
I would say next season potentially.
Yeah, but also like what we've been saying is that Stranger Things is definitely trying to go down a more safer.
Will comes back to Hawkins and he's a pothead.
He's a hippie.
Oh man!
It's not going to happen, but I like it.
Will the wise indeed?
Will the blazed?
Remind me before the end of the show.
Yeah,
we have to. There's a little controversy at the moment around Netflix. I guess censorship or Netflix editing past seasons over complaints. Of a different show.
We'll talk about it now because I haven't heard about this.
It's a different show.
In season 1 of 13 Reasons Why, there is a scene in which someone takes their own life.
Yeah.
Now, so when it happened, people complained. Netflix were like, bad luck.
Okay.
Right, it's in the show, it's done, it's aired.
Yeah.
And then after all the controversy dies down, Netflix decided to re-edit the show to tone down the violence in that specific scene, which to me, I don't like that. Right, you weathered the controversy to begin with. Yeah. Leave it alone.
Yeah,
you have further seasons now. It's basically irrelevant. Like you dealt with it at the time. Yeah, why are you going back now?
Yeah, it's kind of sneaky going back. Like, it's not like there was a pre-release and then release.
But as you said, Netflix doesn't have rating restrictions.
Yeah,
so Netflix can say this show has this. If you don't like it, don't watch it.
It's kind of like what I was talking about with the smoking stuff. Is like there are subjects that now we are much more sensitive to. As we should be, you know, the ideas of the dealing with mental health and suicide now was taken a lot more seriously than it has ever been before. So I can understand people might, having problems with the show, but Netflix doing a sneaky. Like censorship.
If they were going to edit it, they should have edited it either on release when the controversy happened, or just said not greenlit the show, or demanded in future seasons, script rewrite.
Or in future seasons, take that criticism under their belt and use it in the future.
I feel like they did the wrong thing by editing an already established season.
Yeah, no, that's we've talked about on this show before. I'm against all forms of censorship.
And
like
as far as
you either release it uncut or you don't release it at all.
Yeah, no, exactly.
As long as it's within legal.
Don't greenlight it. If you think it's too edgy, don't greenlight it.
Yeah.
Ask for a rewrite.
Yeah, exactly.
And as far as I'm aware, Netflix don't do this very often, so I'm kind of surprised.
Yeah, and I hope
Not
they
that
don't.
we know
I hope
of.
they don't make a. Yeah, I hope they don't make a habit of it. Yeah, exactly. Another theory that I read online is that Hopper's daughter is still alive.
Nah, don't
but
like
I feel
that.
like at this point,
She did.
at this point, it's too.
It's too ingrained in his character.
That's too long.
That would almost invalidate her relationship with Elle's relationship with Hopper.
Exactly.
That's the point of his character arc and the growth.
And her coming back would just push her further out of the show and would complicate things more. But it'd be interesting if he does go in the upside down and finds something
like a spirit,
like not necessarily a zombie version of her daughter, but like if it is an upside down version of our world. And we haven't really explored it. We don't really know what it is.
What's interesting is we don't know what kind of creatures reside in the Upside Down.
Yeah.
Right? We know that there's demonic beings.
And that's all we've seen.
Can there be an angelic being?
And the Mind Flayer has intelligence.
Yeah.
Like the Demogorgon has like an animalistic.
Yeah.
But
it's based
the Mind Flayer
is a higher level.
Is able to inhabit people and speak. So is there more of these beings? Where are these beings from? Like, what
and there
are
could
they?
be a being that uses the sort of image of his dead daughter to torment him.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is like he goes there and he finds his old house with his when he had his wife and
is there like the Upside Down is. I hate to use the term unholy, but it's essentially a demonic place. It's an unholy place. It's not conducive to life.
Yeah.
The beings who reside there, from what we've seen, generally appear to be negative.
Yeah.
I'm like, is there another place? Like, or is it just all
the above side?
Yeah, no, like what I mean is
above side up.
Like, could there be a place in the Upside Down which connects to a place that is not Earth?
Or even are there neutral or positive actors in the Upside Down?
Because I suppose it's because
is there a good Mind Flayer? Like,
no, not necessarily.
like a sentient being that's not an evil.
A mind healer.
Yeah.
But we know so little about the nature of the Upside Down.
Yeah. Also, if the Russians are referring to in the prison scene at the end isn't Hopper,
it's one of the people reckon it's one of the scientists.
Yeah. Is it just a red herring, or is it another character who's been held in a Russian prison?
Barbara.
Bob comes back as like a badass Terminator,
ripped.
Yeah,
I forget his name.
Bandana. I like how what
like
does
Sarah Connor
what does
Terminator
what does Alexi call Hopper? Fat Rambo.
Then she'll come back like Sarah Connor in Terminator 2.
Yeah,
come with me if you want to live.
Black for
not that of course Arnold
fatigue.
says that, but she rocks up in the leathers and she's got like a shotgun strapped across her back.
I forget the character's
been to Russia.
I forget the character's name, but I reckon it's one of the scientists from the original.
Okay.
Well, that's what a theory I've read. They reckon it's another scientist from the original.
But that would be interesting if that isn't just a red herring, like, and if it isn't Hopper, then is it a new character who like has been forced to go into the Upside Down, has seen some shit and can help? Or
I reckon it's a red herring.
Yeah,
but I think Hopper's still alive.
Oh,
because they wouldn't kill him.
Look, they never found a corpse, which doesn't mean anything because other people have disintegrated.
Yeah. No, he's definitely alive.
But for a character like him, who's of such importance to the show, I think if they were going to kill him, they would show a corpse. You know what I mean?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's movie rules, TV rules. If you don't see the body, they're not dead. So yeah, I mean,
like a Halloween kind of thing.
Oh God!
He jumps out the window. He's gone.
Yeah. Dude, they're making a second movie to the. So there's going to be 3 Halloween 2s.
Can we?
Because there's already 3 Halloweens.
I'm pretty sure when we reviewed this stinker,
yeah, But I think we reviewed it on the old show.
Yeah. When we did this review on Man vs. Movies of this stinker of a movie, don't watch it. I'm pretty sure we floated the idea that they're probably going to do a sequel, and here we are.
Yeah, and even though the end of that movie, they like burn the house down with Mike Myers in it. But
it's like good old 80s cheese of, did we see him die?
Yeah, it's a classic, like, he at the last minute, he went into the upside down.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, but the sanitization, right? So there's no smoking.
Which I understand.
Yeah, I mean,
the smoking, there was not. There was smoking in the first 2 episodes with Hopper.
Yeah, like Hopper it does, but none of the kids do. Like, it's not... generally, in the high school, kids don't really do it.
But I will say, they're good. Max is not necessarily a good girl.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of surprised she doesn't at least smoke.
Billy should at least smoke. I don't think you see him smoking.
But the rest of the lads, they're good boys.
Yeah.
I reckon they're still quite young. I reckon if we see them in actual high school, because they're in middle school, or they just started... they're in middle school, or junior high, or whatever it is.
They would have started...
Because they're not 17, so they're not in American high school.
No, because now I'm trying to think of, like... Because 80... What grade were they in the first season?
I feel like they were in primary school in the first season. I could be wrong.
No,
they might have been in junior high.
I think they were first
middle school or junior high.
Yeah. I think they were first year of middle school.
Probably.
So they're probably graduating to junior high now.
Yeah, so I reckon give them to proper high school.
Yeah.
Senior high.
Yeah, but
and
like,
then we might see him smoking.
This whole conversation is irrelevant because Stranger Things is not that kind of show.
Yeah.
We're not saying that. We're not saying this is a negative. We're just bringing it up
It's a family show.
Yeah, it's kind of... Yes, they're Netflix. They can go darker, but there are certain things they want to stay away from to keep it sort of...
Stranger Things is one of their main draws as a network.
Yeah. Well, I think I read a statistic that 16% of inactive accounts resubbed for Stranger Things Season 3.
I'm surprised there's not more, to be honest.
That's a large amount of accounts, though, man.
Yeah.
Millions of dollars. Millions.
Yeah, probably millions were brought in just on this release.
Just a word of mouth because, after Season 2 and it's been 2 years, like, I've been telling everyone, even people I know don't watch stuff, I'm like, you guys seen Stranger Things? You seen the Stranger Things?
No.
Hey, you seen the Stranger Things? You got to watch this Stranger Things. Like, hey, you watch Stranger Things?
Excuse me, sir. This is a Wendy's.
Like, it's like the opposite of Game of Thrones. It's like now I can't tell anyone to watch it. And it's like, well, Stranger Things. I'll be like, hey, you watch Stranger Things?
Yeah.
Did you hear The Witcher got an order for 3 seasons?
I'm not
already
surprised. No, well, I think about this.
Well, if they're going to sink all that money in, they're like, we might as well go all in.
Yeah. Also, if Stranger Things is going to slow down, which we don't know it's going to slow down, but if it is going to slow down, they need something to pick up the momentum it leaves behind, which is probably The Witcher.
Oh, well, yeah, we talked about this last week.
About this every week.
Every week. There's so many stuff just on Netflix alone.
Oh, I'm sorry, but this just reminded me.
Yeah.
Amazon is making a Lord of the Rings MMORPG.
We talked about it.
Oh, I was going to save this for next week.
Okay, next week. Hold on to that thought.
Yeah, because that'll take up the whole show.
Okay,
I'm sorry. Jeff Bezos' wet dreams are coming true, but we'll talk about it next week.
Stay tuned for next week, another Lord of the Rings episode.
Sorry, everyone.
We'll give you a taste.
Yeah. All right. What else happens? I like the zombie idea. Yeah, we talked about that. The Juju zombies. I like how each season is like, the Demogorgon, and then the Demogorgon actually comes to life, and they're like, the Mind Flayer, and then the Mind Flayer comes to life. Like the Juju zombies, and the zombies come to life.
So what's the next D&D? What enemy haven't we had?
Man,
even I know they've probably
there's hundreds.
Yeah.
But what's a good... And the Mind Flayer is technically a D&D bad guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad for the people making the new Baldur's Gate game because the big reveal for that game was the bad guy is the Mind Flayer and it's going to take over the minds of your enemy. And then I watched Stranger Things. I'm like,
not necessarily. That's not a positive connotation.
Yeah, but people are gonna think that the Baldur's Gate's a rip off of Stranger Things now. Even though
people don't know. Yeah,
that game's been in development for quite a while. They weren't allowed to break their NDA.
Yeah.
So,
but what other big sort of
dragons?
Dragon. I guess they could do a
dragon. Well,
it's
like we said, it's like, what else does the Upside... Is it just monsters? Or are there some... Is there more of a sentient presence?
I can't remember his name, but there's a famous bad guy who's like essentially like a wizard.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
a dark wizard.
Yeah, now keep in mind with the satanic things potentially coming into it, they could have a practical bad guy as opposed to a CGI blob.
This is one of the reasons I brought up Hopper's dead daughter, but I didn't want, because it sounds dumb, but I guess this is a perfect place to say it. If she's like the evil Elle. Like she's the upside down version of Elle. Like she has powers and he's like torn between them.
And Hopper has to kill one in the final episode.
Yeah.
Which one of my daughters has to die?
See, it's dumb and I don't think they should do it, but I was just like, like a theory.
Yeah, it might happen.
Yeah. And also they need someone to go up against Elle who's
her match.
Yeah, and they also need, because, you know, like I was talking about before, with it needs good villains. Like Billy was a good villain. The Mind Flayer's okay. The Russians are good villains. So the next season needs it. Like they showed the Demogorgon. I hope it's not just the Demogorgon again. It needs a new, like guy, like a physical person villain, or like a supernatural sentient dark wizard or something.
Vecna.
Or like,
he's like an undead-looking, horrible, evil wizard.
That would be like the Emperor of the Upside Down.
Yeah, no, like legit.
Now, that would be sick.
Now, imagine this. Stranger Things Season 4, not only do you have the satanic threat, but you have an actual satanic wizard infiltrating Hawkins or wherever.
Oh, what about like the Satanic Panic's happening?
Necromonicon.
Yeah, what about the Satanic Panic's happening? They're all like, D&D's evil, like rock music is the devil. And the kids are like, this is dumb. This has nothing to do with... The Upside Down is not being summoned by our D&D games. And then there's a like crazy like wizard guy who actually does summon like using satanic rituals.
Yeah.
And then it's
that would be sick.
Yeah, and the kids is like, ugh.
But like that's so all the bad guys so far have been pretty iconic Dungeons and Dragons bad guys.
Yeah.
He's also one of the more iconic ones, along with a bunch of dragons, which would be a CGI mess to incorporate.
I think having a good human bad guy with abilities,
like someone,
would be,
someone who like magical power, like Elle, like mind powers,
like
right?
this. I guess it goes back to that bit in season 2, which is interesting, but also the worst part, where she finds out there's her sister, quote unquote, who has the same powers.
Yeah.
I'm like, what if there's a bad version of Elle, or what if there was an experiment that happened earlier, and there's like an older person who's now the villain who has
maybe he got stuck inside the Upside Down and he's warped and twisted, and
like,
he finds and due to the Russians he gets out.
Like,
and he works for the Russians now.
Yeah, maybe the American,
like a Winter Soldier Elle.
Maybe the American in that prison is like an evil Elle who's been locked in the Russian prison and experimented on or whatever.
Please don't make Hopper a bad guy.
Oh no, MK Ultra Hopper.
Oh man, that would be cool though.
The Manchurian candidate.
Like, yeah, that would
Oh
be...
no. I just had an image in my head of a season where Hopper is the bad guy working for the Russians.
People have been characterizing...
He can't do anything actually bad because then they can't redeem him.
Yeah.
Like, they'd have to kill him off. He just can just be sort of bad.
People have been characterizing Hopper as a domestic violence perpetrator and how he's a horrible role model. But on Twitter, like there was like some celebrity came out and she was like, no one should ever be attracted to Hopper because he'd end up beating up what's her name? Joyce. I'm like, the one time he yells is because he got stood up.
To be fair,
he also yelled at his daughter because she's making out with her boyfriend in her room.
Mike is a huge dick to Hopper.
Yeah, and that's what I was
he was asking for it.
The only time he yells at Joyce is when he's upset because he's like, "What am I, chopped liver? You just like stand me up. You agree to go on."
But that's also in his personality. Like he's a hothead.
I'm like, he's not exactly going around punching walls and things like that.
He doesn't go around punching people. I mean, he does punch lots of people as we talked about.
Yeah, but they're bad guys.
But only bad guys because he's like,
he's they're commies. He punches commies.
Yeah, he's a 80s
he's like he's 80s law
hero.
Man.
Yeah, like you just.
I think that you're missing a lot of Hopper's character if you think that he is a genuinely bad human being.
Yeah, Hopper the copper.
No, but right? I mean, I feel like I don't want to sound like I'm a domestic violence defender.
No, yeah.
I'm like, Hopper's a good guy.
Yeah,
maybe you're misunderstanding the character.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, the Todd father.
The Todd father.
Yeah, the Todd father. I like the moment Steve's like, "Oh yeah, I'm your daddy now."
Yeah.
So good. See, I like that bit too, where there's like the battle for Starcourt, and there's like the Mind Flayer in Starcourt, and they're like firing the fireworks and shit. But they're also trying to escape Starcourt in the car. But Billy, who's the physical human villain, has like he's blocking them with his car.
Yeah,
like it's cool. Like there's
it's
like
such an 80s moment too. Like the car, like
Oh
revs.
yeah.
That was cool.
It's just so cheesy though that they're fighting Russians on July 4.
Like,
but that adds to
America.
the charm. That's the point.
Yeah, it's so good. I like how Elle also has the American flag blindfold for when she goes in the...
One other thing I did like, thinking back on Steve and Robin, is that sort of really nice tender scene in the bathroom where he's like, they're not facing each other, but he's sort of admitting his feelings.
Yeah.
And she shoots him down.
Yeah.
And they handled it really well.
No, it's a good scene. All that shit where they're like high as fuck is hilarious.
yeah.
And then it gets to the bathroom scene and it's like really... Really, also like at the end when they go to the video store.
Name your 3 favorite films. Steve has no idea.
Yeah, he's like,
Star Wars.
Back
to the one with the, what does he say? The one with the
time
furry
machine or something.
No.
Oh yeah, the one with the furry. Yeah.
He meets Ewoks.
Yeah.
And the guy's like,
but then I think he tries to describe Back to the Future. He's like,
the one where the guy wants to bang his mum.
Yeah.
And then he goes, he sees what's that film that high Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Yeah.
He's like, of course.
Yeah. Classic. So good. See, season 4. I'm so excited for so much more than I was.
Yeah.
For
See,
season
Robin
3.
and Steve will be working at the video store.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
As a Mallrats-esque comedy pair.
So good. I mean, Starcourt's destroyed, so all the businesses in Hawkins will come back to life.
Man, I miss video stores.
Old.
Yeah, that's some
listeners. Yeah,
I know the 80s are hard.
We should explain to listeners what video stores are. See, when we were young, you could go to a building and bring home a tape or a disc. Mostly tapes back in the day.
Yeah,
but you had to bring them back to the business.
Yeah,
you
could rent them.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think
that was condescending. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That was obviously a joke, Cal. Please.
I think like I said before, the whole like keeping it in the small town and having the kids fight a supernatural enemy could have got old quickly. And after season 2, it felt like it was going to get old quickly. But now I'm like, they're like mall rats, they're clerks in the video store, and then they're like what do you call it? The high school thing with Dustin, Max, Lucas, and Mike are still in Hawkins, going to school. And
Will and Elle are off on their own.
Will and Elle are off on their own, probably going to another school.
Talking about how much they love boys.
Jedi school.
Oh my god! I kind of want to see that now. Like he replaces Max as the best friend,
best girlfriend.
Yeah, best girlfriend. Oh man, I feel bad for.
You know what though? He needs work. They need to work on his character.
They need to figure out what they're going to do with him, because everyone else has a thing. Dustin is like the tech guy. He's like building Cerebro, and he has his bromance with Steve, and like I guess Lucas doesn't have a lot to do.
He's a little bit, but not.
He has his wrist rocket, so he's the muscle.
I really feel like
Mike is the leader, I guess.
I want Will to have an ability. Because I feel like his time in the upside down...
Well, he's got his Peter Tingle.
Yeah, but
Tingle.
I mean, like, more than that. I mean, like, he's
got his Wingle.
I think if he's Will the Wise,
Sounds
right,
terrible.
he should have visions.
Yes.
Because I really feel like...
He should become Will the Wise in the physical world.
Yeah, exactly. Because, like, if we're going to have a satanic bad guy, you need another wizard to step up.
Yes.
That can be Will.
Yeah.
I want Gandalf, you shall not pass.
That would be
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I just feel like that's his persona, right?
Yeah.
He's Will the Wise, he likes magic, he likes D&D.
This is dumb theory, but this is why we're here. Elle's power's gone, but Will's power grows, and he like gets her power, and like
yeah,
so
that might be interesting.
You know,
well, maybe adolescence or the cusp of teenagehood changes something in him.
Yeah.
And allows him to tap into something he couldn't tap into before. Because again,
even if it's like
he was in the upside down, then he was possessed.
So we've seen the Mind Flayer can infect people and control them.
Yes,
but it can go dormant and then come back.
Yep.
What if the fact that it went inside him but didn't really control him?
Yeah.
But then it left him, but he still has like visions. He can still feel the Mind
and
Flayer.
occasionally he sees crazy shit.
Yeah. So what if he still has some like psychic ability to influence people?
Yeah, see, that's interesting. That's what I
just
think.
Just a little bit. Like, he
yeah.
can say something to someone and go,
like,
why don't you do, like, not like a mind, kind of like a mind trick.
Like Jedi school.
Yeah.
I feel like
Will the Jedi.
there needs
He
to
has
be a
his
payoff.
mind trick. She has a force levitation.
Yeah.
He needs to have a payoff for all the trauma he's gone through.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, he needs to get something out of that other than just being alive.
Yeah, true.
Because all the other characters, like Elle, for example, she's gone through traumatic events. She can levitate stuff, and she can see people through the void.
Yeah, she has a dark past and also awesome powers.
Like I said, if they are going to pursue the satanic route, I want Will to kind of come into his own and be like a holy wizard of some variety.
That would be cool.
Also, with a cape and everything.
Yeah, I also like how they give Lucas's sister stuff to do.
Yeah,
because like
she's totally a nerd.
Yeah, in early seasons, she's just like annoying, like side character. And she starts off that way, and then they end up including her in the adventure, and then they find out she's a nerd. But then I like at the end that end scene where Will gives her his D&D stuff.
Yeah, like passing it on.
I feel like that's cool because in next seasons, it's like they're all growing up, going to different places. But now she's taking and her friends can play D&D.
If only they knew how much that red box is worth.
Oh man, if they only had that time machine from Back to the Future, they could. But yeah, like I think that's why I'm a little bit worried about the whole like Will giving up D&D and like.
I don't think they will. What I would like to see is Erica being the dungeon master.
Yeah,
but they come back and play with her.
Yeah.
She's like, can we play D&D for Christmas, guys? And she's like a really smart-ass dungeon master.
Man.
And she's like, don't you do that. You can't do that.
Yeah.
Check the dice roll. Like,
she'll be too harsh.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be interesting. As for someone who likes D&D, I hope they don't give it up.
Yeah. No, but it's just that, I mean, it's probably just me making mountains out of molehills, but
they do give it up at the end, though.
But yeah, but it's like, I feel like I'm trying to think of an example. I feel like I've seen movies where they're like, and at the end, the kids gave up. Yeah, and kids, and then I'm like, that's the saddest message.
Yeah, that's
it is. You don't need to give up childish things.
Yeah, especially because, Never-Ending Story is about how there's like an evil wolf storm trying to destroy the imagination world, and you have to stop.
And we need it now more than ever.
Yeah, exactly. Especially when things are seemingly this bad in the real world. We need some good old-fashioned, like, kids being awesome and doing nerdy shit, and they save the day.
Yeah.
I like depressing stuff as much as anyone else, but that's for that stuff. This is Stranger Things.
That's right. Keep it nerdy.
Alexi, best new character.
Yeah,
he was funny. He was funny.
Shame he died.
Slurpy boy. But, yeah.
But you know what? He died drinking his Slurpee in America. Yeah. God bless the USA.
Live free or die hard. Like,
he died as a free man in God's country.
What's it called? What's the saying?
Griffith?
Live free or die. Is that the saying?
Live free or die, yeah. I was saying God's country because ScoMo thinks his electorate's God's country.
No,
dude, we won't talk about this because we'll take up the whole show. It's insane that the Prime Minister of Australia, I mean, it's pretty fucked up politically around the world right now, but just in terms of Australia, that ScoMo is basically in a cult.
Oh, the Hillsong, yeah.
The leader of our country is in a cult, and just no one cares.
No.
There should be, like, people, like, it's fucked up.
There's footage of him in the news recently enough, and there was someone else was there. Who else was there with him? And it was really awkward.
Who cares?
I don't know. Anyway,
we won't talk about.
We won't talk about too much politics. Anyway,
what else? Scoops Ahoy is awesome. Hop's shirt. So you can buy Hop's shirt at Hot Topic in America.
Legit?
And I'm like, fuck, I need one.
That's sick.
Yeah.
We'll import
some.
some.
I'm gonna see if we can import them.
That's pretty cool.
Brett Gelman's hilarious. Underground Pain. I like how Steve punches out the Russian guard, and Dustin's like, "You want to fight?"
Yeah. Oh man, I thought it was hilarious when they're interrogating Robin and Steve, and they're like, "Who do you work for?" And Steve's like, "Scoops Ahoy." And and they're like, they don't believe him. They think it's all some elaborate ruse.
I like one of my favorite bits in the first season is when they're building the makeshift sensory deprivation tank.
Yep.
And Mike and Elle are like in the gym near the tank. and like Dustin and the other guys are like out the back somewhere, and they're like, Mike, we found pudding cups. And Mike's like, all right, like, because he's trying to talk to Elle. I love in this season, like, Mike just goes ham. He's just like always yelling. He's like, Mom, get off the phone.
Oh man.
Like when Erica is lecturing Murray, and he's like, why is this 4-year-old speaking to me?
Yeah. He doesn't give a shit at all.
I like when they're infiltrating the Russian base, and they have the code names, the radio handles.
Yeah.
There's a Scoops Troop, Bald Eagle, and the Griswold family.
Yeah.
So good. It's like if anyone sees you, just smile and nod. So good. Yeah, I like how they kill the Mind Flayer with fireworks. Well, distract him anyway.
Yeah.
One thing, I mean, this isn't really a problem. It's like, because you have the 4th of July carnival and and the Ferris wheel, and Mike's family stuck on the Ferris wheel, and I mean, Hopper does fight the Russian Terminator in the funhouse, but other than that, they don't really use the carnival.
Yeah.
But that's because they have Starcourt, and Starcourt's a better kind of overall.
Yeah. I mean, I guess the only reason they have the carnival is because it's July 4th.
Yeah, because I thought the battle was going to start in Starcourt, and then the Mind Flayer was going to attack the Ferris wheel while Mike's parents on it, and then but yeah, I guess at this point, if I'm not mistaken, not everyone in the town has seen supernatural stuff. Only very few. It's still very secret.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So it hasn't been outed.
Contained,
It hasn't been outed to the world. So if the Mind Flayer was walking through the carnival, like people,
jigs up.
Yeah, like people would notice, and there would be like a whole there'd be a very different show going forward after that.
Yeah, definitely.
I think we got through everything.
Yeah. I thought it was a brilliant season.
Yeah, so good.
Honestly, I nearly cried at the end. I'm a grown-ass man.
Yeah.
Oh, it was devastating.
Man, I'm so glad I watched that on my own. Because like the scene in which Elle is reading the letter that Hopper left her.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Man, that's tough.
Yeah, the whole like ending montages where they like say goodbye and give Erica the stuff, and like that's all really well done.
How difficult you can feel how difficult it is for them all to part as well.
Yeah.
Very emotional ending.
Yeah, very emotional. Like it feels like they're like real friends, and it looks like they have a lot of fun doing the show.
Oh yeah,
at least 100%. You'd hope so.
I would,
especially a show like this.
Yeah. Did they have another? With last season, they had the making of kind of every episode.
I don't think they did it this year.
Probably because they got in trouble last season.
Yeah, last season's was weird.
Because they had that forced... that it was revealed that there was a forced kiss at the end, and people were upset about it. So
it's also weird because...
Any dodgy shit the Duffers did this season isn't getting made public.
It's also weird because even though the actors in the show appear quite mature, and, they do a lot of interviews and stuff, they're still kids.
Yeah.
Like, they're still very young. So it's weird that, like, we kind of put them on show.
Yeah.
We're like, dance, monkey, dance. It's like, dude, those kids are going to be so messed up.
I laughed when Mike was making out with Elle. I'm like, oh, Drake's going to be upset.
This is exactly my point. Why do we sexualize young...
I didn't.
No,
Drake did.
Exactly, but like...
Not that I'm saying anything bad about Drake.
I'm pretty sure I've called him a pedophile before on the show. If not... I'm doubling down because it's creepy.
I'm pretty sure there was some
and it's not just his weird relationship with Millie Bobby Brown. Like there's other.
Yeah.
If any grown-ass man likes a 15-year-old,
13, I think she was.
13, you're a creep.
Yeah, come on, dude.
Ugh.
Yeah, that was just a joke. I was like,
this is why people listen to the show for our hot takes. 2 weeks late and extremely inappropriate.
Only towards the end of the episode.
Yeah. I know we lace it through. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure I dropped some fucked up shit at the start of the show. I can't remember.
We try to keep it reasonably clean in the live hour.
Well, yeah.
So we're all keen. Keen as jelly beans in this studio. Keener, even.
Yeah. Like it's just it's great. It's great when a show
makes you excited.
Yeah, but it's like after season 2, weren't sure if they could keep this up. were even thinking just do a spin-off, don't even have to continue this. We're kind of like, maybe they can't keep this, maybe they don't know what they're doing with this world and characters. After season 3, like we discussed, there's just so much shit. I'm so excited.
One thing, laid to rest.
One thing I will say is I feel like the harassment leveled at what's her name? Nancy I feel like it kind of felt forced. You know when she's in the office and
Nancy Drew,
and everyone, pretty much everyone in the whole office is saying sexist stuff. You don't think it was a little forced?
I mean, it's definitely obviously maybe exaggerated.
It's exaggerated for effect of the 80s sexist chauvinistic
They also
workplace.
have to show that in a shorter period of time because there's only a few scenes there.
Yeah, that's true.
Fucking Jake Busey. The cast is straight.
That was funny.
Straight. What do the kids say?
Our mum was like
lit AF.
Our mum was like, that looks like Gary Busey.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's his son.
And then I think Nathan goes, that's Gary Busey's son. I'm like, which one?
The one who looks exactly like Gary Busey.
Yeah. I was like, that's a surprise.
Also, one thing I didn't like about season 2 was they returned to Hawkins' lab, or whatever it's called.
Yep.
And it's like, that's boring. We've already seen Hawkins' lab. They like...
Samwise Gamgee,
why you'd think after that the government or whatever agency runs that place would be like, all right, we've got to back it out. But it's like only after season 2 did they do that.
And you'd think that, they called on the government for help at some point.
Yeah,
right.
and
you'd think the government would have people on the lookout for any strange activities going on in Hawkins. But
you mean they'd be on the lookout for strange things?
Yeah, exactly. Strange or stranger things. But that doesn't seem to be the case. They seem to have just cleaned up the mess and then gone on with their day.
That's why, like, when they went to Hawkins' lab in season 3 when it was all abandoned, and I was like, please don't find a secret door. Please don't find a secret door. Yeah. But also I was kind of like, if they do find a secret door, I can't blame them. Like, it would make sense. It would ties everything. But I'm glad that the whole Russian base was under Starcourt instead. That was really cool. It made it different from the previous 2. Didn't feel repetitive. The only thing is because they bring back Paul Reiser's character, and he brings the army with him because he's part of that government agency or whatever. What's it called? Does it have a name? Something Labs? Something?
Yeah, I have no idea.
No.
The Philadelphia Public Council or Public something like that.
But like that group of scientists who experimented on L and stuff like that.
No, I thought you meant
like that organization. People. Yeah, no, but that organization that Matthew Modine was a part of and that Paul Reiser was also a part of, but he was a good guy.
I can't remember.
I have to rewatch the first 2 seasons, but like now that he came back at least to save them and brought the cavalry, like. It'll be interesting to see, like, I hope they don't restart Hawkins Labs just to keep it in Hawkins, I hope they just all right, so all that stuff's gone.
Hawkins National Laboratory, which is what it's called.
Oh, okay.
H&L.
Nothing exciting.
Yeah.
But like, I guess what if they overtake the Russians' Starcourt lab and turn it into their lab? Yeah.
Could be cool.
I don't know. We'll see.
So is it are we going to see a new season like next year or do you think a couple of years?
I'm not sure. I mean, like we always say...
Has another one been confirmed?
I think Nathan said at the start of the show they already renewed it for season 4. With a show this popular, they'd have to.
Well, if they had 16% of inactive subscribers coming back, I mean...
They'd have to.
And that's all inactive subscribers.
Yeah.
That's millions.
Yeah, like even if they didn't have any numbers on it, like just the word of mouth alone, I feel like this is it's their main flagship show, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So yeah, they're definitely good. But yeah, whether they're gonna take more time off, we always say quality over quantity.
Actually,
I would rather wait. I'd rather they wait and get a good season than rush into it. But I think now they've found their groove.
Yeah.
Like now that after season 2, I don't know what they're doing. Season 3, all right, now we know what we're doing. Here are all the threads. We can go anywhere.
Because when you think about it, right, their first season was kind of here's an idea.
Yeah.
Second season was they were trying something.
Yeah.
Third season they perfected it.
Yeah. And then season 4, they can be like, all this crazy shit. We can go any direction. There's so much stuff to explore.
It hasn't been officially renewed, but come on.
It has. Yeah, it will be. I'm sure we'll talk about it in a couple of weeks' time. We'll talk about in the show how it's been renewed.
One thing I didn't like
was
how forced the Coke Coca-Cola advertising.
That just fits into the whole like mid '80s nostalgia.
I was gonna say, you told me Coke wasn't a staple of the '80s.
Yeah,
No,
the whole new Coke.
the drink.
Yeah, the whole new Coke. The whole new Coke debacle, if that's the right word for it, was like it makes sense to be pushing
definitely.
that. But there's also an actual real world tie-in there. That's definitely an advertisement.
And I played the video game. I did not like it. Do not play it.
It's a tie-in video game.
But
that
that is also brought to you by Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Yeah, of course. All those tie-in games are not that good.
But there's a couple of cheesy shots. One of Lucas drinking a Coke, and I'm just like, come on.
I'm gonna be honest. It just flew over my head.
Did the NES come out? The Nintendo came out in '85.
The original NES?
Yeah.
I'll have a look.
So maybe in '86 they'll have a home console. Michael Buggy's parents.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
But then what does that mean for D&D? Will they replace D&D with video games?
Maybe. I mean, they go to the arcade, so I mean...
Yeah, arcade just
North
big,
America,
though.
October 18, 1985. So slightly before after the show?
Just after the show. So in season 4, they might have a Nintendo. Also, I mean, see, this is just wild speculation about the future, depending on how far the show goes. But when they get a home computer, they can play text-based role-playing games.
Yes.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yes, that'd be cool.
Yeah, hype.
Yeah,
super hyped.
So what's coming out next on Netflix that we're looking forward to?
There's not much out this month. I don't know what we're going to talk about next week. If you're listening and you have any suggestions,
we can always do our review of the house that Jack built.
No, I don't want to talk. That's too tiring. You just mentioned it. I'm tired.
Good film though. Maybe we'll do a quick 5-second review.
As I said to you guys, I didn't not like it.
So the house that Jack built, filmed by Lars von Trier, about essentially it's like a memoir of a serial killer in which he recounts a certain amount. Is it 5 incidents or 6 or something?
I can't remember now.
Anyway, it tracks his life. He kills a bunch of people. It's really arty.
It's weird,
not bad.
and it's kind of funny, and
it's hilarious.
Yeah, it is hilarious.
it's weird and hilarious and gross and perverse.
Anyway, so that's
anyway,
something to talk about.
Stranger Things was good,
very good,
and
highly enjoyable.
We'll see. We'll next week we'll talk about. No, we already got Lord of the Rings for next week. So week after, if you have suggestions for week after, preferably sci-fi or fantasy related,
we can always ignore
properties. We will probably ignore you, depending on how we feel. I always change week to week, and then right before the show, I'm like, all right, what do we do? We have no plan. We have good ideas, but only in the moment.
That's right.
Actually, that's not true. We're working on some shit behind the scenes that's very well planned. So.
But that's hush hush.
Yeah.
No. Oh yeah, no.
We don't talk about the.
We'll talk about things when we're ready to talk about things.
Yeah, we don't talk about that. All right, enough.
I reckon we're good.
Yeah, Nathan, is it your turn?
It is. Thank you for listening. Like and share the Tuesday Review Facebook page. Follow us on Twitter at Tuesday Review AU. You can also follow James on Instagram at Channel Drifter, where he gives short reviews and thoughts on movies that we don't talk about on the show that he sees. Mm-hmm. You can also find all of our previous episodes on your favorite podcasting app. If you like video games, please check out Callum and Jake's show Sunrise Arcade, and also Matty J. His show is called Car Talk, TORQUE, for all your automotive and vehicle-related discussions with like 20 guests. Make sure to rate, review, and subscribe to the Tuesday Review on iTunes. Adios, cousins.
The never-ending story.